right, guys. Welcome back to series of We Own the Dome. And then we're referring to, obviously, in this situation, the Fargo Dome. Lucas, before we get into We Own the Dome and what that means and all that, and we're talking about Junior Greco today. Like, what is for those people in the Southeast who haven't been to the Dome? What is it? What is it like?
It's an experience walking in that dome for the first time and seeing all the people, the mats, like just seeing everything together at once for the first time. It's truly an experience. It's something that if you don't know what it is and you're not ready for it, it'll knock you on your tail mentally. It happened to me where the first time I kind of went in, I did, and you get caught up if you do this. If you do that whole like that, you're screwed. You're dead. Immediately. It's like, ah, crap.
Do you
Because then it really hits you.
do you remember weigh-ins for Fargo? Do you?
Well, I remember the weigh-ins when I dropped all the weight, and Paul Watkins basically had to put his hand on my back so I didn't pass out, and fall off the
So
scale.
when you were when you were in Fargo, did you guys all have to go sit in the stands in your singlets, getting ready to go to weigh-ins, or no?
Um, I was lucky enough to not be in line too long. Like we were in line obviously, but it wasn't that long that we were actually in the line.
The only reason I asked the question is that, like, and I don't know when this came about and everything else, but they actually now sit all in the stands and like while the girls wrestling's going on, the boys are getting ready to weigh in for the next day, and they're all sitting up there cheering and everything else, and they all have their singlets on and everything else because they're getting ready for weigh-ins. It's just kind of a really interesting, unique thing. If I have a video from it, I'll definitely post it here and to give everybody a sense of what that's like.
So when I was there, it they weren't wrestling at the time of weigh-ins for us.
Oh, they
For
weren't.
what like just maybe the setup was different, but we had a bit of just kind of chilling out time.
I got you. All right. So We Own the Dome is born out of this idea of a team walks in and historically speaking, you have an idea that they are the dominant state or team if we're going back to like high school level, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
But in terms of Fargo, a state. Do you have that in Junior Greco? Is there a state that you go, wow, Junior Greco, man, that state is it?
Yeah, the damn guys with the low cuts. Illinois, it seems like they win everything.
Because they do.
That's just how it seems.
What makes Illinois a great Greco state? Any clue? Is it just like the Greco studs from that time stay in Illinois and develop?
We kind of slightly talked about it in the girls' ones. That they push freestyle Greco more. So I feel like, maybe they had some guys that were really good in Greco, and then they pushed it to their kids, and it's kind of like flipped on over itself.
Yeah. So I think of back when I was right after I finished wrestling and right before I started coaching, I always thought the state was Minnesota. That was the Greco state because of Dennis Hall and Brandon Paulson and those
Yeah,
individuals. But over the last 10 years, 11 years, 10 Fargos, Illinois is just ridiculously good.
yeah, that's basically how that's at least is how it seemed.
Well, 149 All Americans in 11 years, 10 Fargos,
To Wisconsin
149.
76.
Just unbelievably good. I mean, just unbelievably good. And they don't just dominate at a single weight.
They dominate the entire thing, bruh.
They do. They do. Except for one weight class. And I'm going to get to that in a second. And I don't know if you've noticed this, but we'll get to that in a second. All right. So So that's where this comes from. We own the dome is a perception thing of whether your perceptions are right. And I already asked you, and you said Illinois was the is the perceived hammers and junior boys and Greco. Is there another state? Well, let's actually go through it. Your second state is Wisconsin. Is that a
Yeah.
surprise?
I knew Wisconsin and Minnesota would both be higher on the list. Like I that kind of northwest part of the Midwest, Wisconsin, Minnesota, Iowa have always been good in Greco. So I'm not too surprised by that. I will say California at 3 did surprise me. I thought they'd be a bit lower, like more in the 6-7 range.
Okay. Minnesota's 4, Iowa being 5, Pennsylvania being 6, Washington, Colorado,
Again, Pacific Northwest.
Oklahoma, and New York. And number 11 is Florida. I came in a couple of those, right? I just listed out the top 10 or top 11, including Florida. Is there a state you expected to be kind of in that group that wasn't?
Ohio, I thought would have been a little higher up. I thought they would have probably been in the top 10, but besides that, not really. This list kind of again, it's that Pacific Northwest, man. Not really thinking about Washington, and then you see that now they've been in both 16U freestyle women's and junior girls. They've been in the list, so it's rather fascinating.
Yeah. Well, and one of the things you said, Ohio. One of the things that's really interesting is I think Illinois has more champions than Ohio has All Americans.
What the? That's nuts. That doesn't seem like that should be legal. That should be a crime.
All right. So Illinois dominates in 10 of the 15 weights. And then obviously because Wisconsin, California, Minnesota are your next, 2, 3, and 4, they dominate in the other weights. California has 2 weights, Minnesota has 2 weights, Wisconsin has 1 weight. The couple things that stand out to me as we kind of go through this list, and if anybody's really interested, you can go to the website scwrestle.com, and these are posted and you can see them in greater detail. Lucas and I aren't going to spend a great deal of time kind of talking about this in any great detail, but if you wanted some more details, you can jump over there.
Yeah.
I want to make sure that I point out that we got our information from Jason Bryant and the Fargo Almanac.
Salute to him.
And man, it is 200 pages of tons of information. And if you get to Illinois and flipping through, well, not an actual book, it's on a PDF, it's on your phone, but flipping through, I'm thinking flipping through, not flipping through. Anyway,
you just dated yourself, but whatever.
Yeah, well, look at all the books behind me.
Sure. To be fair,
Illinois goes over like so many different pages. I mean, just so many different pages. Probably the thing that stood out to me the most, though, is the fact that at 100 pounds, right off the bat, we have 11 years, 10 Fargos. They have 19 All-Americans. How?
Jesus Christ. 7, 11, 6. Damn, they have more than the next 3 combined.
Is that not crazy?
Wait, no, they have the same. If you add Oklahoma, they have the same over those years as Wisconsin, California, Washington, and Oklahoma combined. What the hell?
How? What is it? What is it about? I mean, every single time you turn around, it's got to be an Illinois kid in Junior Greco at 100 pounds who's like, they're all over the freaking podium.
How do you coach that thing when you got all the finalists and placers wrestling together?
Yeah, well, and I'm glad you brought that up. Is it? I wonder how hard it is. It probably isn't very difficult to have 2 kids from the same state competing against each other in the finals against one another. I mean, the coaching staff's it's kind of a unique collection of coaches anyway.
How many times has that happened?
Oh, you know what? That's a great question, and I've seen it as we've been doing this a little bit.
I am
Um,
curious. I'm
yeah.
trying to think. I don't remember seeing it when I was at Fargo my year. I don't remember. Like I'm trying to really rack my brain. Like I didn't see any all Callies, all Iowas, Illinois.
Well,
Well, wait,
it happened in 16U girls. I know that for California.
wait, did it? For some reason, I'm thinking there might have been an all Illinois final because I remember the low cuts.
6 pound, we have in the red Nkoski Moody from Illinois, and in the blue we have his teammate Tommy Powalski, also from Illinois. These guys wrestled in the state folk style finals with Powalski coming out on top. Moody was able to get in on a lot of shots, but it's not real good.
Could have been. I mean, in Greco, was it Greco?
Yeah, it would have
Freestyle?
been Greco, but this also could have been dehydration playing into a factor here. That was
right.
after the 28 pounds in 2 days, ladies and gentlemen.
All right. Do you have 100 pounds pulled up in front of you?
Yep. Yeah, I'm looking at it.
All right. In the worth noting, what do you see? Can you just share that with us?
Wisconsin has 7 different wrestlers to make the podium in a run from 2012 to 2016. The only then Caleb Casey, Sage Mortimer was Utah's. Oh, I remember that. I remember that because I was there that year. That was the year I was there. I
Is that
remember
right?
that. Yeah.
So,
Oh no, that might be the
share
next.
with
No.
everybody who didn't get to actually read it.
Sage Mortimer, she won the 16 to 100-pound women's title and said, "Hell, we're gonna go Greco," and she made the podium. I remember that. That was nuts. I actually remember that.
So not only did Sage Mortimer like win it in 16U freestyle girls, right?
Dominantly, might I add.
Okay, but if this is correct, and I assume the almanac is correct,
Oh, it
because
is.
Jason Bryant is super at pulling stats together and everything else. She not only bumped to boys because there was no girls Greco, what did Greco instead of freestyle, and went from 16U to juniors and All American.
I didn't even realize that she went 16 to juniors. Yeah, she did. Holy shit. Nah, it was funny because I remember, yeah, because I was there that year. Because I remember us watching her kind of go through the bracket and being like, okay, she won 2. Okay. Because she's still in it. She's still in it. Now she's in the blood rounds. Holy, she's made the podium. Like we as fans, we were kind of like, wow. Like it was impressive to the athletes as well. Like it wasn't like it was really cool.
Yeah, that's one of those situations where you're like, holy cow, right? I mean,
Yeah, no, fair play to her. Fair play, tip of the cap.
wow. All right. So Illinois dominates 100, 113, 120, 126, 132. At 106, California owns Fargo, but really Illinois is right there, right? I mean, they're just one behind California.
That number might change after this year, ladies and gentlemen. That might no longer be a California state.
Yeah, so it's pretty neck and neck between California and Illinois as it relates to 106
I don't know
pounds.
if that's owning the dome. That might be renting the dome.
Renting
that might be a rent. That might be a rental. I want to know how long they've had that lead.
A short-term rental.
It's a lease. It's a lease for sure. Sure, it's a lease.
All right, so I went through 13, 20, 26, 32 pretty quickly. Anybody that should I talk about anything in there that kind of stood out to you before I jump to my next thing?
A couple Southeast flavor, 126 pounds. You got Masters and McCrary from Georgia. Van Alst from Bama. Just some Southeast flavor. Tennessee has a couple at 120 pounds out of Flynn and Hendrickson. Khalil Johnson and Aslan Killick for Alabama, Georgia, or Aslan, excuse me.
Awesome, yeah.
113, Hassan Krieger and Hunter Keeley. Just some Southeast flavor mixed in there for sure. Want to throw some love.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. All right. So as I jump to the next weight, 138 pounds is owned by Minnesota. Okay, with 12, which is super impressive. And we're gonna get to Minnesota in just a second. But the thing that stands out to me, Lucas, is Illinois has 19 at 100 pounds, 11 at 106, 6, 10, 10, 11. Do you know how many they have at 138 pounds, All-Americans?
Well, I know they have less than 4 because they're not on the list there.
They have 0.
Now, that's odd.
Right. And at 145 pounds, they have 13. So,
Okay.
So what is it with 138?
It's got to be a curse.
Like, what is that? That's weird.
It's got to be a curse. It's got to be a curse of some kind.
All right. So that
someone from Chicago put a hex on 138 pounds, basically.
Well, 138 pounds, maybe somebody from Minnesota because they've won them all, you know?
Yeah, maybe, yeah.
All right. So Minnesota.
I could see Mitchell McKee doing black magic. I could see that.
Talking about, you got a thick head of hair. Here we go. Look at that. Deegan now has got a body lock of his own. He's long.
Yeah, that elbow's tight to his body. You gotta be careful there.
And he re-grips, comes back over McKee with an underhook on his left side, overhook on the right for Deegan. Trying to go to a bundle. What's he?
Ooh, he's going under his body. If he lifts that up, you'll color me impressed.
Color me impressed.
Nice.
And now McKee back to a body lock. He kind of lost his footing, but ducked his head underneath, squeezed the takedown. He's going to look for a big one here. He's a lot shorter. Yeah. And that's going to be 4 from the quad pod position. Make it 7-0. Could he do it again? He's going to get 2 more.
So Minnesota dominates 138. We go back to Illinois at 145 pounds, back to the state of Minnesota at 152 pounds. And then we introduce at 160 pounds, the state of Wisconsin. And they've all been there, but not, I mean, Wisconsin's kind of been in the top, but not at the top until we get to 160. And again, we get California, New York, Illinois, Pennsylvania, Florida, who had quite a few. They have 5 and 2 champs. In fact, last year's champ at 160 pounds was from the state of Florida, Brendan Abden.
Abden now going pinch headlock, shrugs it to the right. He'll get 2 points.
And he's got it locked up pretty tight here.
Skillinger bridging for his life. Oh, that is the tight headlock. Skillinger's head looks like it's about to pop off.
That is tight. Abden gets the fall.
We've talked a lot about Illinois and their turn.
So Wisconsin is at 160. All right. So one of the things I want to bring your attention to is we get to 170. Boy, 170. Fargo chance for Illinois. Alex Kramer, Bradley Gilliam, Kamal Bay. Yeah. So that's impressive, right? But we jumped to 182, and 182 was a super interesting weight as I was kind of doing this. So 182, Illinois has 12 All-Americans. They have 5 champs at 182.
That's it's not fair.
That is impressive.
I mean, the thing is that it's not bums that dropped off. Sammy Brooks, Logan Grutzka, Jack Jensen, Zach Bronicle, D'Anthony Parker. Like, these are hitters that just so happen to like throwing people on their domes.
fans in Fargo. Plenty to be excited about for this guy. 2 more points makes it 8-0. D'Anthony Parker gonna go for a lift. Nope, not able to get it that time. Altomer did a good job getting the head under the leg and does it again. Nice little defensive maneuver. This time though, Anthony gets it up and gonna get the turn.
Over. What an impressive.
Pretty crazy that they had 5 champs. I don't know in the same amount of time. I know in Greco, Junior Greco, it hasn't happened. Do you think it has happened in, and we'll get to it later, but 16U freestyle or 16U Greco or somewhere else? 5
I don't
champs?
know. I'm not all that sure, but hell.
Wow. All right. So also at 182, I want you to go down to the bottom and look at the worth noting section of that.
At 195 pounds?
Yep. Or 182 pounds.
Ugh, excuse me. So this 182, ladies and gentlemen, Justin Rivera claims the title for Georgia in 2014. Two different Matthew Waddell's claimed honors, Gilmer's in 2016 and Pepperell's in 2022. That's kind of interesting, actually.
Yeah, so you see Matthew Waddell pop up in 2016 and Matthew Waddell pop up in 2022, both from the state of Georgia, and you're going, how in the world? Like, I didn't realize. I mean, I know COVID happened in the middle there, but we didn't get like redshirt years.
I'm not gonna lie. When I first saw Matthew Waddell from Pepperell's name, I even like in high school, I was like, "You transferred, but Caleb is the younger one. Is there a Matthew the second?" Like come to find out, 2 very different humans.
So for anyone who's watching this who isn't from the state of Georgia or doesn't know what we're referring to, there are actually 2 different Matthew Waddells. One who currently wrestles at the University of Tennessee, Chattanooga, who wrestled at Gilmer High School in the state of Georgia, and a Matthew Waddell who just graduated, finished with his 2nd state title, is on his way to Hofstra, and both of them placed in Fargo in juniors, in Greco, at the same weight, 6 years apart.
That is rather interesting. I want to see them wrestle in college.
It could happen because
they're not too
the
far
older
off.
Matthew Waddell's he's still got 1 more year, right?
Yeah, and he's 184.
All right.
Hofstra, UTC, make it happen.
So 195.
Does Hofstra go to the scuffle?
They might.
Oh, if they do, seed it. I don't care. I just seed them in the first round. Make it happen.
It would be fun, wouldn't it?
It would be amazing. I'd laugh my head off.
All right, 195 pounds. One thing that stood out to me as we start getting to 182, 195, 220, and 285 is the emergence of the state of Iowa.
Yeah.
Iowa, if you look lower than this, they've got good wrestlers down below. Don't get me wrong. But what you see is they have 7 All-Americans at 195. They have 6 All-Americans at 220. They have 9 All-Americans at 285. So this emergence of 195, 220, and 285 for the state of Iowa up top. That's pretty interesting. Why do we think, again, does it go down to coaching?
I think coaching's a big part, and as well, I think could be the time of year. You're not in when you're in football, it's the lighter weights are playing 7-on-7s in the summer. So for the bigger boys that are, linemen, things of that nature, you're gonna wrestle freestyle and Greco if you play football.
All right. Okay. I don't know. I'm really interested. All right. So as we wrap up Junior Greco, Illinois is by and far ahead of everyone else in the country. What was your takeaway as you were looking through it on the Southeast? Florida, Georgia, Alabama, Tennessee, North Carolina, South Carolina.
I mean, we're getting there. As a community, we're getting there. We still got some work to go, obviously. I want to see the Southeast owning a few of these weights in the next couple of years over time. But, I mean, it's just that there's work to be done.
Is there somebody who pops out in the state of Georgia as being a Greco person as over the last 10 years that you paid really attention to?
So when it comes to Greco, I mean, I will say I am a Greco guy. So for me, I'll throw myself out there because I like Greco and I was a blood rounder and hell, that's where I want to wrestle at the national level. Other guys like Nick Masters were really good at Greco. Vincent Baker, who is unsung. Not a lot of people know who Vincent Baker is, but he was around during my era and killer in Greco. Dude was super tough in Greco. But I mean, guys like that, and I'm probably missing guys like some of the younger, like Omari Alvarez. I'm not as familiar with his work, but I know that he's real good at Greco.
Took second
So
last year.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm not as familiar with him, but I know that that's an example. But yeah,
All right. Okay, so that is Junior Greco over the last 10 years. We own the Dome, Illinois. Parting words. How actually I'm gonna make you give a prediction. How many All-Americans will Illinois have this year? You haven't even looked at the rosters. You don't have
I
any
don't know the
idea.
roster. I'm gonna take a punt. So I'm gonna guess probably 5 games.
So I'm gonna give you their average. Their average has been, I think, right at 10.5. So will they be 11 or 10? Will they be above or below? What's the over or under?
Go over.
All right,
I'll go the over.
The over. All right, you know what? I think I might agree with that.